This video is the third installment in a 4-week Advent series called Please Come. Over the centuries that Advent has been celebrated, its emphasis and meaning has changed, and as our society has changed, Advent has been shuffled off to the point where very few people have heard of it, and even fewer observe the occasion. This week's theme is joy, something that most of us desire, but maybe find a little elusive. The Apostle James writes at the very beginning of his letter to the Israelites who are scattered all over the Mediterranean, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds." I'm not sure I find a lot of comfort in this admonition from James. Yes, I understand that the Jewish people had faced many trials, and James certainly did. But I'm not seeing joy here. The Greek word translated pure means always, all, every, thoroughly. You get the point. And while my trials are nothing compared to what was going on in James' life and the life of those who've been persecuted and scattered, I still find it difficult to find joy in my trials. But this joy is the theme for the third Sunday of Advent. Whenever I think of joy in the context of the Christmas story and of this verse, I can't help but think of Mary. No, not my wife Mary, the original Mary. Talk about trials. I mean, who is going to believe this story about an angel and being both a virgin and pregnant? I can just imagine the gossip, scorn, and reaction she faced. And then at 9 months pregnant, she has to walk 90 miles to a strange town, give birth in a barn, and then when it finally settles down, she has to flee to Egypt. Not exactly a friendly country for a Jew, because the king wants to kill her son. Consider this pure joy. And yet she did it. Right through to watching her son beaten, crucified, and then risen from the dead. Now, I confess that I have cheated here on James' writing, because the next verse in James' letter is the second half of the prior sentence. James goes on to say, "Because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." Now, you're probably thinking that this is a bit of a downer. After all, if the third week of Advent is joy, shouldn't we be happy? But joy is not happiness. Happiness is a feeling, an often fleeting feeling. Joy is something far deeper and more profound than just being happy. Joy is something that transcends our circumstances and is rooted in something far deeper than how we feel at the moment. I like Mark Twain's comment on joy. "The healthiest response to life is joy." And Henri Nouwen states, "Joy does not simply happen to us. We have to choose joy and keep choosing it every day." Joy comes not because of the afflictions that we endure, but because of the benefit that will result from the affliction. Endurance, strength of character, and confident hope. The challenges that we face can be a source of growth and strength. So instead of resenting or resisting these challenges, we should rejoice at the growth and the development within us. I like the Living Bible's translation of this verse from Peter's first letter. So be truly glad. There is a wonderful joy ahead, even though the going is rough for a little while down here. Yeah, it can be rough, sometimes even beyond what we consider our breaking point. But there is wonderful joy ahead. Can you even begin to imagine the pain that Mary felt as she watched her son die? No one would condemn her for feeling no joy at that moment. Yet little did she know the joy that was waiting for her just 3 days later. Paul writes in his letter to the Romans, certainly a people who had lots of opportunities to consider it pure joy in trials, the following: be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Joy, like peace, is not dependent upon the absence of the challenges that face us. Joy is God's gift to us in the midst of those things that test us and sometimes even break us. I would like to close this with one of my favorite benedictions from the Bible. It comes from Paul's letter to the Romans, a group of people who knew very well many trials and the teeth of lions. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit.